Hello, everyone. Welcome to the hypergamous journey. My name is Denise. At this channel, we discuss dating advice for women who are mature biologically, chronologically, and in mindset. Today, I would like to give you an update on the date I had where my date initiated a random conversation with a strange woman. So he called and he apologized. So I knew my strategy in terms of communication. I knew that I wasn't going to engage him in the same way that I had engaged him the two previous dates. And after our dates, we would call each other, and typically the pattern went like this. He has arranged all the dates. I agreed to his date and the day and time that was good for him, because my schedule is pretty flexible. And so he made all the arrangements where we would go and what we would do. And I just was agreeable. And after each date, he would text me to say that he enjoyed my company and he had a good time with me. And I would say one or two sentences in a text in response. So that's our normal pattern. And I don't say routine because we just started dating. So it's our normal behavioral pattern. So when he did it on the third date, after, this conversation with this strange woman, I just liked his text message, and I knew I wasn't going to initiate any kinds of conversations with him. I wasn't going to call, I wasn't going to text, but I would respond to his call. If he called me, I would pick up. If he texted me, I would just like whatever he said. But I knew that I was not going to initiate communication with him. And then my sister suggested that I not go out with him again to kind of pull back, which I agreed. I think I shared this with you, that I agreed that I was going to do that. So as the universe would have it, or I like to say as God would have it, 2 days later, he called. So we went out on a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So on the fourth day, Wednesday, he called and said that he was sorry for his behavior. And it's uncharacteristic of him to do what he did. And he doesn't know what got into him. I accepted his apology. And one viewer or subscriber said, how do you communicate femininely? So my response to him was, you have every right to date. They call it a stroke and stand by technique by Dr. Patricia Allen in her book, Getting to I Do. So I said, you have every right to date who you want, and you have every right to date how you want. So you have every right to date who you want. You have every right to date how you want. But I didn't feel good after I left our date. And so I'm not going to go into everything, but that was a communication technique that I learned from Dr. Allen. And after I said, you have a right to date who you want, he said, right. And then I said, you have a right to date how you want. And he said, right. So, and I asked if it was a good time for me to, I did. I asked if it was a good time for me to share my feelings after he apologized. And he said, of course. So suffice it to say that we're on track. We're back on track. And a couple of things went through my mind with that behavior. Was that maybe it was a test to see if I would, get all boisterous and loud in a public space, to see how much self-esteem I have, how much self-confidence I have. Yeah, just to test me. It felt like it was a test. And I passed. He didn't say I passed, and he didn't acknowledge it was a test, but that's the way it felt like, in a way. that it was a test. So I feel I passed. I shared my feelings, and we're back on track. And so I said, one of my friends suggested that she said if it were her, she would have addressed the issue right then and there. And that's the old Denise. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm mature. I'm a mature woman. So I'm not going to be fussing and arguing with a man over his behavior. I'm going to give him space to reflect on his behavior. And I feel the man that I'm going to marry is going to have enough self-awareness, sensitivity, self-reflection to look at his behavior and determine if he's right in the way that he has behaved or is behaving, or he's wrong. People don't take kindly to being beat over the head or forced to acknowledge their bad behavior, particularly men. I feel, based on my 62 years of living, that women can be talked to and shown the error of their behavior more easily than men can. And I consider it a very good thing that he was able to come back and apologize, which showed that he wasn't arrogant and self-centered and unwilling to admit that he was wrong. And yeah, so I was really, really pleased with that. So we're back on track. And he said that through another different telephone conversation, because we had that discussion, we're on track now, and now I heard from him again this week, and he said, don't be afraid to bring up anything, any feelings that you have about anything, because we can talk it out. And he said that he would do the same. So y'all, things are looking pretty good with this one. Things are looking pretty good. So I feel that I wanted to talk about one of the things that came up for me was my emotional baggage. There was a point in that 4-day period where I began to doubt myself. Like I told you that I had spoken to 3 friends, my sister, my dance teacher who taught me dance at the age of 13, and I'm 62 now, so she's known me all my life, really. And then a friend who's in my same age group, and each woman had a slightly different view on what happened and how they would have handled it. My friend who is unpartnered, she said she would have handled it right then and there. And that's the old Denise. My sister said, don't mention it and just withdraw, pull back. And then my dance teacher said, discuss it with him. And she said, just discuss it with him. She didn't say anything about any other, future dates, but just discuss it with him. And so I think you could say I did a combination of having communication, which he initiated, which was good, because I wasn't going to initiate it. I was just going to wait for an organic opening to bring it up. But he came and he initiated it, and the conversation and the apology. So I got to say what I had to say and use that stroke and stand technique, communication technique, which made both of us feel heard, understood, and accepted. And then, as the universe would have it, he had to work the weekend that I was supposed to withdraw or pull back. He had to work. So it was a natural pulling back that the universe orchestrated to give us both an opportunity to reflect on the situation, and me to determine what I was going to say in using the stroke and stand technique. And the universe created this situation where he worked the weekend where we couldn't see each other. So it worked out. It worked out. And like I said, we are back on track. We're going to get together for our fourth date this weekend. And I'm loving it, y'all. I'm loving it. So, these 4 years of me starting this hypergamous journey looks like it's about to, so far, we can't see too far in the future. I like to fortune tell. That's what I call it when I'm trying to predict the future with these men. So I can't fortune tell, but just take, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time. And so, yeah, in that 4-day period, some of my insecurities started to come up, and I just did my affirmation. You are sacred and precious. You are sacred and precious. You are sacred and precious. You are sacred and precious, sacred and precious. And it calmed it down, and I got centered in my position of, not initiating any communication with him and just waiting it out. And I was rewarded for my patience. So if you like this video or any of my others, please like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget, I have the free dating guide that you can request at thehypergamisjourney@gmail.com. And the Affirmation Journals are on Amazon. Check them out, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.